bring you that much anticipated briefing from the Electricity Minister, Dr Kgosientsho Ramokgopa. Of course, we're marking close to 50 days now without load shedding, and there's been all kinds of questions about how this has been achieved. The Minister is speaking this time from Kusile Power Station. It's in Emalahleni, on the sidelines of his inspection there. He's just taken to the podium. Let's listen in.
Of the energy crisis in the country. And also just to thank the members of the media for your consistent support, but also more significantly making possible for us to be able to have a conversation with the South Africans in the form of households and also industry, because they do take a keen interest on the resolution of what I refer to as the preeminent question that is facing the South African economy today. The choice of Kusile is deliberate because first is that it is one of our two newest coal-fired power stations, but also Kusile has been key in the recovery effort and the kind of progress that we are seeing today as a result of the sterling work that has been done by Christopher, Zandi, and the team that has been recovering the three units, Unit 1, 2, and 3 of Kusile, the ones that were discontinued as a result of the flue gas desulfurization challenges, essentially the failure of the instrumentation or the mechanics that were meant to reduce the amount of sulfur that is emitted into the environment. We then applied to the Minister of Fisheries, Forestry and Environment for a special dispensation and exemption for a period of a year. And in that period, we wanted to return these units as soon as possible. The team achieved this feat by November of last year, 2023. The last of the units was on load. And that's why we have the benefit of an additional 2,400 megawatts as a result of that temporary arrangement. I want to say to the country that that's a temporary arrangement. That's what we had applied for. And that arrangement is going to come to an end at the end of the calendar year this year. And the team is hard at work. They remain on course to ensure that we restore, if you like, the original design, that we use the chimney that was clogged to ensure that we go through the flue gas desulfurization unit. We are able to reduce the amount of sulfur content that is emitted into the environment. I must say that on all other environmental parameters, we still remain within the license regime. And I really want to say thank you very much to the team that has returned this. Of course, Zandile was key to that. Chris and the rest of the team were instrumental in the resolution of this problem. And as a result of that intervention, just Kusile today is trending at an energy availability factor of just shy of 93%. So that's an exceptional achievement for this team. And I really want to say thank you very much, Chris, to you and the team. Please continue to do the excellent work. I'm making a bigger point. What is the bigger point is that we have been deliberate on how to quickly to return these three units, 1, 2, and 3. And as a result of returning them early as per plan, we've gotten the benefit of an additional 2,400 megawatts. And those are contributing to the resolution of this problem. So the point I'm making is that all of these efforts are orchestrated. There's nothing sudden about what you are seeing today. And in fact, the picture looks even exceptionally better. What is it? I'm happy to say to the country, as I stand before you today, the energy availability factor of Eskom has breached the 70% mark. So we're at 70.78. That's significant. The last time we achieved this was in August 2021. Thank you to the men and women of Eskom. The exceptional work, starting with the chair of the board, Dr. Mteto, and the collective of men and women who are committed to the resolution of this problem. The members of the board who are bringing their expertise, their knowledge that has been accumulated over many years, and they've put that to the service of the country. and we are beginning to see this picture. And thank you very much to Dan Marokani, the Group CEO, Mr. Beking Numalo, and the rest of the team. And that's why we're here at Kusile, we'll be at Kendal, we'll be visiting all these power stations to say to the team, please continue at it and make sure that you help us to present this picture. Of course, the month to date, the statistics suggest that we're at 64.34%, and the year to date we're at 59.92, just shy of 60%. But we have breached the psychological mark of 70%, as I stand before you, as a result of this consistent performance. This is a deliberate performance, has been orchestrated, and I'll show you what the trend line is. Where have we recovered these additional megawatts? This has happened over a period of time. It stretches from the appointment of this current board in October of 2022. It gets to be codified in the Energy Action Plan unveiled by President Ramaphosa a few months earlier than the appointment of this board. In about July of 2022, the appointment of the minister in the presidency responsible for electricity, the stabilization of the management team, the introduction of incentive, performance-related incentive bonuses, the isolation of critical stations that required attention, and Kusile was one of those. And as I stand before you, I did say that Kusile is trending close to 93%, when in fact we had initially characterized it as one of the problem stations, a focused attention, and that's why we are seeing the kind of numbers that we are seeing. As I stand before you, we are 47 days into no load shedding and counting. So this is significant. And of course, we have seen that in the public domain, there are those who are beginning to find their voice. They've been here at Eskom. They were meant to achieve these numbers because of exceptional levels of incompetence. The flag bearers of underperformance. They have not been able to achieve this. Now, when it is achieved, they are finding their voice. So it's important that we dampen those voices, that we are able to illustrate in numbers the kind of achievement, exceptional achievement that has been attained by these competent men and women, dedicated and patriotic to the resolution of the load shedding question. And I've said to the country, we are going to restore this Eskom, this badge. Its glory will be restored. And the best way of restoring it, as I've been saying to the team at Eskom, is to ensure that we are able to resolve the energy crisis in the country. What do we know also about the other indicators? That essentially what we have achieved, our unplanned capacity loss factor, the rate at which these units are failing, at which these units are unreliable, that has been reduced by about 4,000 megawatts since the 26th of April. And this is due to extensive maintenance. So what's the point we're making? We had said previously to the country, you remember that reference when I say short-term pain, long-term gain, aggressive maintenance-led recovery plan is beginning to yield fruits. When we went into December of 2023, transitioning into January of 2024, we reached the highest levels of maintenance, planned maintenance, in the period of 3 years. We took out 18% of the total generation capacity into planned maintenance. And these units are coming back. And we had said that we are going to use the periods of low demand to ensure that we go aggressively into planned maintenance as we prepare ourselves for the winter period. And of course, as we enter into this winter, these units are coming back, and we are seeing these numbers exemplified by what Chris and the team has achieved here in Kusile. They are now at about 93%. Like I said, for the day now, as I stand before you, we are at 70.78%. So that's significant. And as a result of this improvement, it means that there is little reliance on the open cycle gas turbine. By that I mean we're using less and less of diesel. And I'm going to show you also in the rand value. Because what we are told in the public domain, for those who have been unable to achieve this kind of exceptional performance, for those who suggest that this improvement is sudden, they want to deposit into the public domain that the results of this improvement is on the back of the banning of diesel. There could be nothing further from the truth. This is anchored by, if you like, base load. This is anchored by these machines that are at Kusile and many other power stations. From here, we're going to Kendal, and then for the first time in a long period, we had ran about 6 units. Some of them have been out on long-term planned maintenance. These units have returned. And as they return these units, they are giving us the kind of performance that we are seeing. And this has decreased significantly, if you like, the load factor of the OCGT from what was previously 19.13% to now what is 6.8%. So we have reduced it by about 13 percentage points, just to illustrate that what anchors this recovery is really the performance of this coal-fired power station. And again, like I said, our planned PCLF planned maintenance, of course, it reached highs in December of 2023, transitioning into 2024. Of course, we've averaged over the past 4 months about 16.25%. Something that has not been seen over a period of time. And this is as a result of an orchestrated effort on the part of government. Of course, Eskom is an antenna, an extension of government. The fiscal support that we received from National Treasury was placed to good use, and that's why you are beginning to see the kind of improvements that we are seeing to ensure that indeed we are able to achieve the results that we are seeing. So what's the point I'm making? The point I'm making is that all of these things is planned, all of these things is orchestrated, all of these things is deliberate. There is nothing sudden about what you are seeing. And as I've been saying to the country consistently, even when we reach the highs of stage 6 load shedding, I said, bear with us. We feel your pain. We hear your cries. We understand your frustration, but we know what you are doing. Just believe us. And of course, the majority of the South Africans believe this story, and we are beginning to see that, in fact, this is something that is born out of a serious consideration by engineers at Eskom to say that we need to suffer this pain for us to be able to achieve the kind of results that we are seeing going into the future. So that's very, very important for us to have this appreciation. And what are the other things that we know so that we're able to dismantle this public narrative that is attempting to find root, and its sole intention really is to soil the work that the Eskom team has done. The Eskom team in its totality, from the board to the lowest member of Eskom, including the cleaners, playing an important role in the resolution of this question. So we know that in our stable now, we are beginning to see consistent performers, those who are really carrying, if you like, the majority of the weight, as we are fixing other power stations that are problematic. What are those consistent performers? Kusile now is in that category. Letabo has been in that category. Majuba in that category. Matla and Medupi. And of course, Medupi and Kusile, you expect them to be in that category because they are our newest power stations. But having said that, Chris and the team must remain at it. Focused, transfixed on the resolution of this problem, ensuring that we are able to have the megawatts that is required to get the country out of this difficult situation. And of course, the picking plants. I mean, just to give you an appreciation, year to date of Medupi, Letabo, and the picking plants. The picking plants are important because they must be available when we need them. In a case of emergency, they must be available. And that's why you need to track their availability factor. All of these things have been trending greater than 70%, these power stations. They've been trending over 70%. they are carrying a number of us. And of course, we've been able to reduce the number of trips, the excessive trips. You can see that by March of 2022, the number of trips were about 697. When you go to March of 2023, you know that the calendar year 2023, we had the most intense calendar year of load shedding. And in fact, even the financial year. And that's not surprising that that number was sitting at 736. The rate at which these units are failing. Look at where we are. We are at 593, even much better than what was the situation in March of 2022. So all this thing can happen as a result of a deliberate and orchestrated effort to resolve the energy crisis. There is nothing sudden about this. It's been patient investment, and this investment is yielding fruit. We're beginning to get the dividends of these investments, and those dividends are shared with the greater South African economy, households and industry, and that's why we're seeing this kind of picture that we're seeing. So we are not necessarily out of the woods yet. We need to ensure that we bring these other power stations to the levels of Kusile, Letabo, and Majuba and Midupi, so that across the entire fleet, when you use station by station, we should be above 70%, so that you don't have a disproportionate amount of weight carried by particular power stations when you have when in fact you have perennial underperformance. And what we are trying to show here is that we are also beginning to see additional improvements in other additional power stations. And just to mention them, Arnott, Camden, Hendrina, and Grootvlei. These 4 power stations are important for the following reasons. The first one is that they are some of our oldest power.
All right, so that's the situation as it unfolds at Kusile Power Station. An upbeat Dr. Kgosientsho Ramokgopa sharing what I imagine he reckons is very good news about our efforts to try and claw back load shedding in this country. Of course, it's been 47 days and counting since the power cut. We're told the energy availability factor has now breached the 70% mark.